Are you interested in legacy writing? It's the art of crafting family histories, preserving dear memories of ancestors, the significance of their journey, aspirations, values, and life lessons that can connect with and inspire future generations. Good evening and welcome to the August 2024 edition of the Authors Showcase Series, a virtual experience of the South Florida Writers Association. My name is Evelyn Benson, past president, chair, and producer of this marketing program of our nonprofit organization that promotes literary arts and support writers. Tonight, our featured author is Dr. GLADYS Barrio, who will show us how, when she presents her book, Empowered by the Dream, A Journey of Resilience. It's a story of 3 generations of the Barrio Castañer family's emotional and spiritual journey as they struggle through exile, emigration, war, poverty, and love from Europe to the New World. Dr. GLADYS Barrio was born in Cuba, raised in Puerto Rico, and now resides in Miami, Florida. She holds a PhD in chemistry from the University of Miami and has authored over 25 scientific publications. She served as executive director and science supervisor for the Miami-Dade County Public Schools. She taught chemistry and methods of teaching science at various universities. A mother of 2, grandmother of 5, she draws inspiration from her family for writing. Her book is available at Books and Books in Coral Gables, online at Amazon, Libreria, Laberinto Puerto Rico, and bookshop.org. So folks, let's put our hands together for Dr. GLADYS Barrio.
Good evening. Thank you for joining us this evening. As Evelyn said, my name is GLADYS Barrio, and I'm the author of the book Empowered by the Dream, A Journey of Resilience. I would like to start by thanking Evelyn Benson for her kind introduction, as well as for her assistance and guidance in making this evening possible. I also need to acknowledge the South Florida Writers Association. This is an association that gives us authors this type of opportunities. And one of the opportunities that it gives us is critique groups. I belong to one of the critique groups of the South Florida Writers Association, the nonfiction group, which is led by Peter Likes. And I would like to thank him and thank the rest of the group, Scott Scoville, for their input and their feedback on my work. And this has made my book possible. First, I would like to share with you the reasons that drove me to write this book. When I retire, I thought, I really have to leave these amazing stories of the saga of my ancestors to my grandchildren. Here's a picture of my grandchildren. I have 5 little grandchildren, for my nieces and nephews, and for our future generations. So I had 2 goals when I wrote this book. The first one is to open up to readers an understanding of the feelings and struggles of immigrants. After all, don't we all come from somewhere else? I hope this book helps readers to understand that most of our ancestors and present-day immigrants go through the same challenges that I describe here. So my message to you is talk to your ancestors now. Their powerful stories may surprise you. My best friend, after she read my book, she said, one thing that I regret is that I never asked my parents for their stories. So Empowered by the Dream is a story of 3 generations. First, my grandparents, the first generation, and here's a picture of my grandparents on my mother's side, Bautista and Maria. As you can see, she's wearing a black dress for her wedding because her mother had recently passed. I thought that was funny. We have always thought that that was a funny picture. And this is the Castañer family in Spain in around 1916. And this is my other set of grandparents, Manuel Barrio and America Biel. And this is the Barrio family. They are from Santiago de Compostela in Spain, and their story starts about 1903. So this picture shows all generations of the Castañer family with this is on my mother's side, with my grandparents in the center, the sons and daughters surrounding them. The couple on the left is my parents, that they're in the story, of course. And that little chubby girl, that's me. And here's the other side of the family, the Barrio family, again, with the grandparents in the center, sons and daughters surrounding them. The couple on the left are my mother and father, and the little girl with the curly blonde hair, that's me again. So Empowered by the Dream is the story of these families who struggle through exiles, multiple exiles, exiles from Spain, from Cuba, multiple exiles. Emigrations and immigrations. They had to leave one place and go to live in somewhere else. War, the Spanish Civil War. Civil revolutions. Poverty, they come from very humble beginnings. And most of all, love. So, and these stories are all from Spain to the New World. The story opens up in Havana, Cuba, in the 1960s, and after the onset of the Communist Revolution. So the first chapter, Fear, I wrote it to convey that fear that not only my parents, but many parents in Cuba felt when they realized what was happening. So I'm going to start reading this little piece. Alfredo whispered in anguish as he phoned Roberto. Cuñado, you were right. This man is nothing but a vile communist who lied and betrayed each one of us and his country. There was excruciating pain in Alfredo Barrio's eyes, realizing that the revolution he had so strongly supported was not what it claimed to be. The leader who so many people placed their hopes on was a cruel, bloody dictator whose only goal was to gain power for himself at the price of destroying the island they so loved. So this book is written within a historical content. At this point, my scientific background helped me conduct detailed research to ensure the accuracy of the historical backdrop. So I'm going to continue reading from that chapter, the historical background. September 1960 marked a ghastly year for Cuban families. Innocent people, anyone suspected of not supporting the revolution, were executed by firing squads at paredones de fusilamiento, execution walls. Some sources suggest that as many as 49,000 individuals were shot by firing squads in Cuba after 1959. Others were unjustly thrown into jail, tortured, and left to rot and die in confined, dirty cells. Fear overcame every corner of the nation. Out on the streets and even inside homes, whispering for fear of incarceration had become the norm. As they are facing difficult decisions, their twirling minds transport them to Spain, to the difficult decisions their parents also made many years before. So readers are transported to Spain during various periods of time, and then chapters 2 and 3 are the story of the Castañer family that you see in the picture, my grandparents on my mother's side, and the little baby on her lap, that's my mother. So chapter 2 is their love story, is the happy beginnings. There's several funny anecdotes in that chapter. However, chapter 3 is when this family is trapped in the horrors of the Spanish Civil War of 1936. So I'm gonna read another little piece from chapter 3, which takes place during the war. This is in Port of Bilbao, Spain, the northern part of Spain, 1936. A dramatic swoosh follow a near-shattering explosive gas sound in the air. The energy of the impact propelled humans and objects from the boat ramp into the water and the dock as the last passengers of the Cristobal Colon were projected from the ship, which had recently docked at the port of Bilbao. Shocked, distressed, stunned by the explosion, and not realizing what had happened, Bautista ended up face down on the rough cement. His face was battered and scratched by the impact against the concrete dock. Confused and dizzy, he struggled to stand up. Am I dead? Alive? Awake? Asleep? What just happened? His eyes searched in the direction of the thunderous impact, only to see the dreadful cloud of smoke rising behind him. A bomb detonated by anarchists had blown up the ship, sinking his lifetime belongings, everything he was bringing back from Cuba. These were disturbing times in Spain. The political uprising and the multiple leftist and rightist parties created the horrors of one of the bloodiest wars in history. A process of political polarization had characterized the Spanish Second Republic, and party divisions became increasingly embittered. So the story of the Castañer family, which is on my mother's side, and the story of the Barrio ancestors on my father's side, establishes a contrast of political versus economic migration. Chapters 5 and 6 takes place between 1903 and 1914, where Spain was going through a horrendous economic depression. The 5 orphan Barrio siblings who live in great poverty found ways to escape Spain. Paco, the oldest brother, who escaped Spain as a stowaway, and that's described in chapter 5. However, in chapter 6 is my grandfather, who risked his life facing bombardment of the ship that he was traveling in during the First World War. All 5 siblings independently eventually migrated to Cuba with that hope in their hearts, seeking a new life for them and their future families. So I'm going to read you a little piece of that chapter 6 so that you can see what my grandfather on my father's side experienced on that ship during World War I. However, that night turned out to be the scariest of his life when the perils of the open seas soon become apparent. Manuel and his fellow passengers were informed that the ship had to sail in complete darkness to evade detection by enemy warships. The fear of being mistaken for a hostile vessel and targeted by torpedoes gripped everyone on board. Nights became sleepless, and anxiety permeated the air as they braved the unknown waters of the sea. Weeks turned into a blur of fear and anticipation as Manuel sailed toward his destination. The journey, once envisioned as a stepping stone toward his dreams, had become a test of resilience and fortitude. Manuel's determination to reunite with his brother and start afresh in Cuba remained steadfast, providing a glimmer of hope amid the tumultuous backdrop of war. The serene expanse of the Atlantic Ocean appeared remarkably tranquil, providing a stark contrast to the harrowing conflicts raging across the globe. So this first generation and some second generation, including my mom, made their ways to Cuba. Some were escaping from the war, as you can see in that previous reading. Some were escaping from poverty, as you can see in chapters 2 and 3. Some were escaping from both war and poverty. Some escaped as a stowaway, but they all made it to Cuba in search of their dreams and a better life. So the next several chapters of the book narrates the next 20 years in Cuba, and they drill into the saga of immigrants trying to survive in the new land. The hard work required to start from nothing to provide for their families and eventually to succeed. These chapters vividly show the love that created these families. And when they finally achieve a stability in their lives, what happened? Tragedy strikes out. Thousands had to escape the horrors of the communist revolution. So they had to emigrate once again. They had to leave Cuba. Some of the feelings exploring these stories are, first, the panic of being killed or incarcerated if they did not migrate, like you saw in chapter 1. The fear for the fate of their children. The fear of sending children away without parents. The feelings of children finding themselves in a strange country without their parents. There's a chapter called Letters from Robert that are the real letters of a little boy, my cousin, as he left Cuba without his parents. It's very compelling. Then more feelings explored in this book are language barriers encountered, the pain of leaving behind everything they worked so hard for, parents with family in a strange country, penniless, and with the scarce possibility of work, family members and friends helping each other to escape and survive exile, starting in a new country which they didn't know. They didn't know the laws. They didn't know anything about the new countries. And one of the most important feelings to explore is the everlasting love through time. One of the reviewers of my book, he was able to extract the feeling and get the essence of the book. So that's why I'm showing you this clip here. One of the most compelling aspects of the novel is its exploration of the immigrant experience and the search for belonging in a new land. As the Barrio Castañer family navigates the challenges of starting anew in the new world, they encounter discrimination, poverty, and cultural barriers. Yet, amidst of the hardships, they also find moments of joy, friendship, and love, highlighting the resilience and adaptability of the human spirit. It was written by Diana Rodriguez. So love, joy, loss, and happiness are highlighted in this book. And because of this, I want to bring you the last reading, which is a little clip from chapter 31. And it's called The Swarming Choir Ladies. This takes place in Miami, Florida, close to the end of the exile of the family here in Miami, Florida, in the summer of 2000. Whenever the phone rang, Alfredo's habitual gentle instruction to his granddaughters, Jenny and Jackie, were, "Please tell them I'm not here." In the summer of 2000, Alfredo relocated to GLADYS' house, where he lived for the following year with her and her daughters, Jenny and Jackie. It was a period marked by the couple's mutual decision to bring an end to an era, signifying the conclusions of their marriage. Once the word spread through the church choir that Alfredo and Enedina had parted ways, the phone rang incessantly. "Hola, is Alfredo home?" The granddaughters found themselves at a loss. The calls were frequent and the reluctance to lie palpable. Yet they dutifully adhered to their grandfather's wishes. He had been a member of the choir for years, and now, with his newfound availability, several of the older women in the choir had taken a keen interest in him. "Abuelo, te están cayendo como hormigas bravas." Grandpa, they're climbing on you like crazy ants, Jenny playfully remarked. And now, towards the end of that chapter, Alfredo and Enedina's divorce was finalized 6 months prior to the 50th wedding anniversary. Meanwhile, the choir ladies persisted with their best persuasive and filtration strategies, sometimes transforming into gladiators, viewing each other as obstacles in their desperate quest for their ultimate prize. That ultimate prize was my father, Alfredo. So this is a story of family and everlasting love. This is a picture of some of the members of the family, many of the members of this family. As you can see, Alfredo, I could say that Alfredo is the main character. Alfredo and Edina are the main characters of this book. And these are daughters and sons-in-law, grandkids. So it's a story of family, and it's a story of everlasting love. And this is the couple that will show you that love can overcome all obstacles. And it will also show you the power of love. So here I'm bringing you some other reviews because like I said, I think they capture the essence of the book. Empowered by the Dream, A Journey of Resilience is a beautiful story of one family's journey of survival. Through this tale, Gladys Barrio brings us the tales of millions of exiles who had to go through the travails of the Spanish Civil War and suffer under Castro's communist regime in Cuba. The book is a heart-touching tale that sheds light on the plight of immigrants and exiles. She has drawn from stories told by ancestors as well as her own experiences to craft this masterpiece. Her writing is vivid and heartfelt. It made me feel I was there. This is a review from Kajori Cheryl Paul, a professional reviewer from Online Book Club. And this is another review. What emerges from this interconnected narrative is a powerful exploration of the cyclical nature of history and the enduring human quest for belonging and prosperity. Despite the passage of time and the changing tides of fortune, the challenges faced by each generation of the family echo with haunting familiarity, underscoring the resilience and strength that have been passed down through the ages. Joshua Ferguson from Goodreads. And this is a review by a motivational speaker and a life coach. She says, when you dream, once nothing more than a seed blossoms into full bloom. You inspire the world to cultivate their own gardens. Gladys Barrio, a chemist and chemistry professor, had a dream. She longed to document her family's journey from Spain to Cuba to the US and tell their stories. Many immigrants share this desire, as their stories are often powerful illustrations of overcoming obstacles, becoming resilient, and the power of never losing hope. So with this, I close today. I want to thank you. I want to let you know that my book is available at Amazon and also at Books and Books of Coral Gable, in Puerto Rico at Librería Laberinto. So next to, after this slide, you will see the links to be able to purchase my book. But I want to thank you for your attention. And I wish you through my book that your life is filled with joy and fulfillment, and that you are empowered by your own dreams. Good night.